This is an instructional video on how to make ropas viejas. Ropas viejas is a Cuban beef dish that when translated means old clothes or shredded clothing or old rags. That term is used to describe the way that the beef is shredded within the dish. I've provided for you a listing of ingredients that you will need to make this dish, and if you would like to learn how to make ropas viejas, please continue watching. I'm going to begin this dish with a flank steak that I purchased at my local grocery store. I've gone ahead and taken, you can see some of the fat there. I've gone ahead and trimmed some of that away. You certainly don't have to do that. It's just a personal preference. So I've gone ahead and trimmed some of the fat away. I'm going to be using a crock pot today, which I've scheduled to cook for 8 hours. You can actually do it for as far as 10 hours if you like. I, however, think 8 hours is just fine for the amount that I'm going to be making. You certainly don't have to use a crock pot. You can actually do this on top of the stove if you prefer. I've gone ahead and seasoned my steak with salt, pepper, and a little accent, and have decided to cut it into cubes, which will help with the shredding later. I've added it to the crock pot with just a little bit of water, a touch of water, just to cover the bottom of the crock pot to ensure that no burning of the meat will occur. I'm going to go ahead and close my lid on the crock pot and let that cook. It's going to cook I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone for about 2 hours. And after about 2 hours, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it looks like it's really cooked. It's done very well. And actually the meat is amazingly tender even at this point, even after only 2 hours. But this is what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on and get started with my other ingredients that I need. This recipe calls for a bouillon cube. You can use beef. I'm going to use this actual chicken bouillon cube with tomato flavoring because this dish has a bit of a tomato base to it. So I just think that the chicken bouillon with the tomato flavoring adds great flavor to the already tomato sort of base that you're going to have in the end. You want to use one bouillon cube for 2 cups of water, and dissolve the bouillon cube in 2 cups of boiling water. This is what it's going to look like. It has a beautiful sort of red-orange color. And you're going to add this to your meat that's been cooking in the crock pot. So you want to go ahead and add that. We will be using diced tomatoes as well as some tomato paste in this recipe. Just to let you know, so that is coming up ahead. But I've gone ahead and added that broth to my beef. And this is what it looks like. I'm going to cover it up with the lid and begin with my other ingredients. I'm going to use a saute skillet or saute pan, and to that heated pan I'm going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, about a teaspoon, and to that I'm going to add an assortment of peppers, red, yellow, and green, as well as some onions. You can certainly use fresh. I'm using frozen here. It's just a bit cheaper, so I wanted to go the cheaper way out. But you want to add that to your saute pan and let that sort of saute and simmer just a little bit to get it sort of soft. Once that has simmered a bit, you want to go ahead and add in, this is a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. I'm going to use about half of that. So I'm going to add 3 ounces of tomato paste to my pepper and onion mixture. Once I've added that in, it's really going to develop into quite a thick sort of paste, but that's just fine. That's what you want. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in my diced tomatoes along with the juice that's in the can. So you want to add all of it in there. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my mixture. It's going to thin it out just a little bit, but it's still going to be a fairly thick mixture, which is just fine. One thing you definitely don't want to forget is to add the cumin seasoning. This is a wonderful seasoning. It really provides a great flavor, and it just wouldn't be the same dish if you didn't add that in. It's essential to this dish. So I'm adding about a teaspoon of cumin, and once that's added in, I'm going to go ahead and stir that up and let that simmer just a little bit longer. Let everything kind of gel together, and we're going to add that to our beef mixture in the crock pot. So I'm letting that simmer. This is what it's going to look like. It's a little bit thick, but that's good. So I'm checking my beef here. It's so tender. I've taken a piece out to show you. It's already begun shredding on its own, which you can see I did not shred this. This is just, it's doing it on its own. It's just that tender. So I want to go ahead and add my pepper, tomato, and onion mixture to my crock pot with my steak in there. And I'm adding that in. I'm going to add all of it in there and just sort of add it in, mix it around with the broth that's already in there. And you can see here the meat is definitely beginning to shred on its own, which is a good thing. So I'm going to continue to let that cook and simmer with the lid on for the rest of the time. And once that's done, you're pretty much set. Like I said, let that cook for a couple of more hours, and it really just, everything is just going to infuse together, and the flavors are going to be absolutely wonderful. This is what it's going to look like when it is done. And you can serve this over white rice. I actually chose to serve this over Spanish rice and have plantains on the side. You can do this how you choose, however you choose. It's a wonderful dish. It tastes delicious, and it's so easy. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.